הגלים, אבל לקצף אין זוכר.
למדתי אבל זה הלשון שאני יודעת יותר טוב. Okay. First of all, I want to welcome you because I think this is a very diverse audience. You know what I mean? Diverse, unique. כל אחד פה מישהו. כל אחד. כל אחת. Okay. Okay. שמי שרה גורליק. ואני לומד, אני מדברת עברית. I was born in 1937, 37. Okay. בעיר בשם דנציג. איפה דנציג? דנציג זה בין... No, my mind is on Hebrew.
Hi. Yeah, hi. I'm just doing something in the house.
Savta's calling on
Savta, can you mute yourself?
You mute.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay. Danzig is a city that's between Poland and Germany. However, when I was born, it was a city by itself. It didn't belong to Germany, it didn't belong to Poland. But German was the language because before World War I, it had been part of Germany. And after World War II, Poland took it over, and it's now Polish. Okay. האם אתם מבינים מה שאני מדברת באנגלית? Okay, terrific. Okay.
What does that mean that it was by itself?
It's a free state.
Like Monte
What
Carlo,
It's called a Danzig Free State, Polish Free State.
Freistaat, Danzig. Freistaat, free city, independent.
But now it's belongs to
Its own
Poland.
government. What?
Now this time.
Now it's Poland.
Now it's Poland. It's not.
And the same name?
Danzig.
No, in Polish it's called Gdansk.
Oh, you're right. Gdansk, yeah. Okay. My grandparents, from my father's side, felt that it was time to leave. It was becoming dangerous. So they left for France in 1938. How did they leave for France? Wasn't easy. France didn't accept Jews to come. They sold their beautiful home. Not sold, I'm sorry. They gave a beautiful home to the French government. And for that, the French government gave them papers to come to France, to Nice. Okay. My parents didn't go with them because my mother was expecting my brother. She was pregnant with my brother. And in those days, it was considered dangerous to travel when you are pregnant. Not today. Okay, so my parents waited till my brother was born in 1939, January. And then they took the baby and traveled to France and lived with my grandparents in Nice. My grandparents had a beautiful 3-bedroom apartment in Nice. Nice was a beautiful city. Near the water, near the Mediterranean, a lot of greenery, beautiful buildings. Okay. And they lived there for a year, and then my grandfather passed away. Okay, that was in 1940. In 1942, I went to nursery school. And in 1942, things started to be bad. My father had a feeling that maybe they would try to take us all away that night. So you know what he did? He put a piece of handkerchief into the bell. So when the people rang the bell, there was no sound. And sure enough, that night, the Germans were at the door. And they tried and tried and tried to ring the bell. Nothing. My father burned everything out. Then he said, we have to do something. We have to hide. But where, what, who? They went into the attic. The attic had a couple of rooms. Attic, Savta. And they stayed, this is with my grandmother, an aunt, and a cousin. They all stayed there. We were young, my brother and I. They put us with a non-Jewish family that they knew. Two women living together, not Jewish. And we were there for 2 months. But because we knew these women, we were not afraid. It was okay. Okay.
You're talking about the
Now,
person.
I just want to say, this is important. We had a housekeeper, a woman who came every day for 4 hours to work in the house. And she was our savior for many, many things. Her name was Madame Cécile. That was her name. Okay, she brought food to the family in the attic. Otherwise, they would have nothing. Okay.
When you say you were not afraid because you knew the non-Jewish sisters, or two
No, we're
women?
not afraid. Oh, there were 2 women living.
So you're talking about not being afraid as a child of 5,
6,
6, and your brother
4.
4. Did you have any playmates? Anybody? Or they?
Nothing. 2 months just in the house, not go out.
Interesting.
Okay, go on. Okay. Yeah, it's something that my father, Shalom, told me. He saw through the attic window, he saw my mother's aunt and uncle taken by the Nazis cruelly and dumped into a truck. So that was the end of them. They never came back. And my father wrote a poem about this. I have all these things here. I was going to show each picture as I'm talking, but it's too complicated. You will all be able to see this and it will tell you what it is.
Your mother's aunts?
What?
Your mother's aunt and uncle?
My mother's aunt and uncle,
They also came from that city?
yeah. Yes.
The whole.
They lived in a that kind of a hotel for older people across the street from our house. But the cruelty.
You lived with another Jew in this neighborhood, or when you lived in Nice,
Yes.
you lived with another Jews there, or?
There were some Jews there. It wasn't a Jewish neighborhood. Mixed neighborhood. But the Germans were picking. They knew where every Jew lived. And they went after them very, very, very strongly. Okay. From there, we went to another, this was not a permanent hiding place. We needed a permanent hiding place for the whole family together. And I will tell you later about him. An uncle who was in the underground against the Nazis found us places of non-Jews who would take us in. So he found a place for all of us. It was not a good place at all. We were all together in one room. We didn't even have a bathroom. So don't ask. A pail for everybody. It was a very, very, very terrible place. Okay, so we couldn't stay there too much. And again, the uncle found us another place. But this place would not take children. So what's going to be with us, my brother and I? So my grandmother remembered something. Her late husband had been a lawyer. My grandfather had been a lawyer in Danzig. And he had done work for an order of nuns in Cannes for nothing. He didn't charge them anything. And he had a letter from the nuns, which I have all this, saying, thank you for what you did for us. So we came to the convent and we said, we did for you, now you do for us. Please, we are desperate. Okay. So the children, first I have to say this. This housekeeper, Madame Cécile, took me separately from my brother to the convent. I held her hand, I remember, and we came into the convent, and she was talking with the nuns, and they gave me some toys to play, and I lift my head, and she's gone. A terrible, terrible panic took me. Where am I? What's happening?
Nobody explained it to you?
Nobody explained it. Now, I have mentioned this to my mother, Alan Shalom. Why didn't you say something? She said that she did tell us. And at that moment, it was unknown to me. That's all I can say. However, the nuns were very kind and nice to me. And gradually, like in my last thought, I'm here. I have to live. So I stayed in that convent for 1 year.
There were children your age.
Girls, only girls.
Your age.
Right. Okay. It came to a point where I made a very good friend, Louise. And I was so lonely inside that I had to tell somebody who I really am, that I'm a Jewish girl in hiding. After I finished talking, I became very, very frightened because I had been told never to say anything about who you really are. And I thought, that's it. The Germans will come and take me away. That's it, finished. But luckily, nothing happened. Well, I don't know what she did with that information, but it didn't go as high as the Nazis. Okay. Okay.
Do you ever meet this Louise again? Savta.
Okay, I have to say
The
this about
question.
Did
what?
you ever meet Louise later on in life?
Meet her again? No.
Or anyone from the convent?
Okay. We went back,
You and
but
Sam.
the convent was gone. nobody knew anymore where it went to or what happened.
Was it a Catholic convent?
Catholic.
So you had to learn.
Oh,
all
here
those-
we go. Here, this is my next sentence. Okay. I had to do everything that the other girls did. And in the Catholic religion, they prostrate themselves and they, what should I say? They sing and this and that. I had been told by the Mother Superior to do everything that they did. And that's it. She did not try to change my religion. But I should consciously look, see what they do, and I do the same. Okay. But I had to do everything, and they had what you
Only boy there.
You have to understand that my father was not with us during this whole period. My mother, my grandmother, aunt and cousin were again in a separate hiding place. Why? Because my father went into hiding with a French consul. Again, the uncle recommended this, but the consul would only take men. He had 4 Jewish men that he protected. He was Hasidic almost how long?
He got recognition.
Well, 1 second. Okay. Now, I just have to tell you about this Mr. Pébert. When I got married, he sent a letter to me and to my father, and saying what an honor it had been to have these Jews there. And he talked so positively about the whole experience. And he only wishes that, Mazel Brocha. I mean, he was something unusual. Okay. Now, the end of the war was coming. This was already 1944. I had been at the convent September 43 to September 44. And towards August or so, the plane started and we all had to go into the basement. We were given a little mattress because we had to be there for many days. And it was very frightening because again, we thought that we are a target. We could be bombed at any time. But again, Baruch Hashem, we were not targeted. And the war ended. The war ended. And my mother came to pick up my brother and me from the convent.
You had to say that your brother had to dress up as a girl.
What?
You had to pretend he was a girl. Had been Chamesh,
That was at the beginning. At the beginning, you're right. But afterwards, they put him in the boys' division. Okay.
Did you see him throughout?
I hardly saw my brother. It was like contained in this girls' division and doing everything they did.
So you were in this convent for
1
a
year.
year. Did your mother make regular visits to you?
What?
No.
My mother was hiding. She's gonna come out, make a visit.
She
Never.
could not visit. Maybe when you had been with those 2 ladies in the 2 months, she did.
That's very different. She didn't come then either. But that was very different. With the beginning of the war, nothing had happened yet.
So you really didn't see her.
No, I didn't see. But then my father came from this consul, came back home, and I didn't recognize him. He had a huge beard, and was a year later. So again, you have to get reacquainted with your own parents. Your parents are strangers. Right.
Excuse me.
Okay. Okay, so we were back in our apartment in Nice, but it was completely empty. The Germans had taken every bit of furniture out. It was no joke. We had to sleep on the floor when we first came.
How did they get in? What, did they break the door?
It's a good question. They got in? What can I say? I don't know.
You didn't leave the key outside.
Okay, but my mother heard that the Germans had left over a warehouse with furniture that they had no time to bring to Germany. So the women decided to go, and sure enough, some of our furniture was there. So that was something, because we had no money after the war, you know, to buy furniture.
Or food. What did you do for food?
Well, I guess we had a little money. Yes, but my father started to work soon. And it was just the beginning, this feeling empty. We have nothing, you know. But again, after a while, the furniture came and my father earned some money. So
And what was the story with Bobby going to this police or whatever to take get Sadie after?
oh, that's another story. That's another story.
It's not your story, it's your father's
That's
story.
another story. I'll tell it quickly.
What year was this?
And that's what I don't know. I don't know. But my father was taken to a camp, a German camp in Paris. And it wasn't good. I forget already how my mother got him out. I don't remember. Do you remember? She used something that they let him go, but I don't know what.
Did he have skill?
When after?
No, this is
The
way
beginning,
back,
the beginning.
way back. It was in between hiding. I don't understand why he was taken, the others were not taken. I'm not clear on that. But my mother got him out, and that was a lucky thing because the entire camp was sent to Auschwitz. But I have to ask my brother if he knows what rules she used, what, you know, that they said, yes, he can go. I don't know.
And also to say that this Mrs. Cecile, that you honored her.
Oh, that's right. We wanted the state of Israel, 48, to honor this Madame Cecile for all she did. And they did. They honored her. We have a certificate, Chasidei Umot HaOlam.
And she's in Yad Vashem.
Yeah.
Savta, wasn't there a point when your mother came to hide in the convent as well at some point?
That was at the very, very end. When the women had been in a hiding place, but then they had the idea to ask the Mother Superior, maybe they could hide in her convent. And she found a house off the premises for them. So at the very end of the war, my mother was in that place. My mother, my grandmother, and the aunt and cousin were in that place, yes. I'm glad that you know more than I do. See, you know, different things make different impressions, especially if you've been through something. You remember it. Somebody asked me, how do you remember? You asked me that. But suffering is inside the body. You remember what when you were suffering.
You had an experience that you were you weren't in the camps.
That's right.
Right, so you were never starving, were you? Or did you have
Not
food to eat?
not really. I mean, it was very bad food in the convent. They didn't have what to eat, believe me. We ate meagerly. There wasn't nothing to eat.
Was
Still, I wasn't in a camp, yes.
the nun or the head of the convent, was she also recognized by Yad Vashem at some point?
Who?
The Mother Superior.
Yeah, the Mother Superior. Was she also recognized? Because
She should have been, but we didn't do it. We just thought of Madame Cécile. But she should have been. And Mr. Kébert as well, the man that hit my father, wrote me such a beautiful letter. Now,
But we didn't all knew that you are a Jew.
who? The convent?
Yes.
Yes, of course. I thought you saying they,
Were there other Jews also with you? That you, or you didn't know? Maybe there were.
maybe they were, and they
Maybe
didn't
they
say anything. You're right, maybe. I mean,
Everyone was
I
supposed to
had
be
no one
quiet.
to talk to, except this Louise, which.
Do you recall, I mean, when they didn't prepare you for going there, you made yourself comfortable, not comfortable, you accommodated yourself. At that point, did you know any, I'm sorry to be, I don't know if it's not kitschy, but like Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, like something
I
of,
don't remember that, I used that,
but you knew you were Jewish,
yes.
that's all. Whatever it meant to you,
Right.
that it meant that
I
you meant
knew
that you
I
were being
wasn't-
hunted, that's what
I
it meant.
wasn't non-Jewish.
And it meant that you were being hunted.
Remember what you had at home before, while you were ever there together? You remember Shabbos at home? You have memories of that, or I don't know.
Yeah, of course, but, when you're in an extreme situation, you can't afford to look back. This is what I have now, and this is what I have to get acclimated to. It wouldn't help to look back. I would, just the opposite. I had to acclimate myself to them, not they to me, that's for sure.
When the war was over and you were living together as a family,
Yes.
was it like it was before, or it was never the same?
I think it was.
It was.
I can remember.
And then you lived a religious life
Yes,
afterwards?
we had Shabbos in the dining room, yes.
And how long did your family stay in France?
Okay, till 1948. We were in France when Israel was declared a state. And then a few months later, we traveled to America. But I remember the excitement that Israel was becoming a state.
And you came to live here.
Right, and I'm grateful that eventually, I'm here 20 years already, and I may have answered.
Why did they go to America? You have to say your aunt
My
came
aunt,
here. Your
my
aunt came here. You had an aunt
No,
here.
that's something else. I'm very,
What, the one in Haifa?
Yeah.
oh, I thought you meant my aunt who eventually married my husband's father. She also went to Israel.
No,
No, she did.
Savta, no, that's good.
What?
No.
But she went for a shidduch, and she came back, and she didn't find a shidduch in Israel, and eventually married the Sava's father. Okay.
But you had an aunt in Haifa. Your father's
Yes, yes,
sister.
not religious.
I know, but she.
When did she come to Israel?
Can't tell you exactly. Also after the war sometime. But I remember her husband had a jewelry store, And while we were still in Nice, we used to visit there and eat lunch or something. Yeah. So she was there for a while. I think that she may have left just before us. Mhm. Okay, now I'm going to ask you, what did you get out of this talk? I'm just curious.
I have a question.
Yes,
I mean, you were very young in
yes.
your age, and when you נשארת בלי ההורים שלך בעצם, in the convent, you were alone without your parents. Haven't you לא כעסת עליהם?
Were you angry at your parents?
Didn't you hold a grudge or something against them?
לא כעסתי. זה לא הטבע שלי.
Because you were very young.
לא כעסתי, עשיתי מה שצריכים לעשות במצב הזה.
מה שאני הבנתי, זה בהתחלה, זה היה שוק, זה היה טראומה. הפרידה, כשהאישה הביאה אותה, ואז...
No, because no one explained her what is going on.
אבל ככה זה היה הנהוג שם, כאילו. In the past, people did not tell children things. They just did. Children just followed and whatever. They were quiet and they just followed. Today, you would tell a child, listen, I'm going
You ask her
to... Yes. You would think to tell the child, even a mother going out because a babysitter is coming. You say to the child, we're going out, there's going to be a babysitter, you should not worry. They didn't do that.
My mother said that she told me. I have absolutely no recollection. I didn't have recollection then, nor do I now.
It could be a situation, but the idea that you just leave and you don't know anyone. It didn't matter if she.
Okay, anybody have something to say?
What did you do with did you ever speak to your brother about it? And whether he knew anything?
David asked, did you ever speak to your brother about it?
No.
About
this is the first time I have ever talked about this.
No, did you ever speak to your brother about both of you being in the convent?
Not too much. Again, this desire to move forward.
No, I'm shocked.
I think what's David asking,
Could I,
let me know if you ever spoke about the fact that your mother didn't tell you with your brother.
I didn't.
What is the first, today is the first time you're speaking about what?
This.
But you've spoken about.
Yeah,
Not
that's
to an audience, to individuals.
Hey, you spoke
No,
to
not
students.
well.
It's supposed to.
All right, so the first time in Israel.
First time in Israel.
On your Shoah.
Okay,
זיכרון בסלון.
I have a question. I think scientists say that children's memories are not really formed fully until maybe the ability to remember things well, until maybe the age of 7. Lower than that, they have very maybe partial, and a lot of it is from what people tell them happened. I'm curious to know, within your nuclear family, after the war, were the experiences of the different people spoken of? Did your father speak to you and say, this is what happened? Was your mother willing to speak and talk about what they were? You know these things, apparently you got them at some point, but as you were growing up, was it ever a subject that was brought up?
It was mentioned, but certainly not frequently.
Again, the whole family had this idea of we have to move on, try and put that behind us.
But the lucky thing is, as you will see from this book, I have a lot of documented evidence. And the letters that the convent wrote to my father, it's all here. And I have explanations on each page so that you can read it and see what I just talked about. It's here. It's documented.
Did you compile that folder or did your mother or father compile it?
Savta, David's asking if you put the folder together. Who put the folder together?
Me, M-E. I have 3 more books like this, but they're mainly of documents and letters, no pictures. I thought it would be boring. So I just brought this one because it has some pictures and it has explanations.
You said that when the state of Israel was established, you were in France and then you moved to the United States.
So
Why not to Israel? The new.
I cannot answer that question because I don't know. I was not one to make decisions at 7 years old.
Okay, so
At 11.
זה הבניין, הבית, הם היו מאוד עשירים, זה היה הבית שהם נתנו
לממשלה.
בצרפת, זה היה הבית.
No, in dancing.
זה הבית הראשון.
שאז זה היה מדינה.
ותמיד יש לי בן, הוא בזום. הוא תמיד חצי צחוק, למה לא אישה את הבית?
Writing.
This is the tachoda.
They've heard that French, my grandparents were giving their house.
This is the letter written in 1938 by the Mother Superior of the convent.
It's all original.
Yeah, that's the letter from the convent, from the Mother Superior.
This really that I was in contact.
And זה
מסמך.
זה אמא שלי הייתה בניו-יורק. Do you have any pictures?
שנה אחת.
זה רשמי. Who gave you this? The convent?
I'm not sure.
כל זה יד ושם, הם לקחו וציירו והם ראיו אותה וגם כן ספילברג.
No, this is the Couvent du Bon Pasteur. This is the convent wrote that I was there for a year. September 43 to 34.
Wait, something. Your mother and father kept these things and you put it together. Where did you make it? How did they also made a folder? I mean, you didn't.
My parents passed a lot.
Did you know about it while they were alive? Did you find it after they passed away?
No, before.
They told you that they came.
That's her mother. I've been hidden in the convent. Remember at the end that she was hidden. So this is my mother.
And then
This is your mother. This is when you were 7 years old.
Yes.
In the convent.
Let people
Don't do it so
give
it to them.
Let people-
Let people.
Oh, yeah.
No, let them take the book.
Take the book. So זה אמא שלי.
Yeah, pass it around.
היא נהנית לה.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take a sheet. This is her. And this is her brother. This is her. Seven. This is it's within that. Yeah. And this is her mom. And this is her.
The man and the table.
We have the table.
And that's her father. That's her father. And that's her mother. That's
So when you arrived to the United States, you started to live a normal life, went to school, lived like family.
Savta, how is it when you moved to America? There were other people who came with a similar
No,
background?
no.
And people
Nobody that
understand
I
you?
knew had been in Europe in that society.
So
You
how
met-
is
All
that?
American.
You met
So
your
how is
husband.
that,
You spoke French at that point,
I still do.
and German,
In
German.
German, I still do.
And not English.
but not English.
I learned English.
yeah, but how was
Half a
it?
year it took me.
Did you feel, how was it, you know?
Good language.
Again, you put everything behind, you said, all right, we're studying something new, so it didn't matter, or did it matter to you that you had something in your past that people around you didn't
No, because
understand?
again, I deal with the present a lot and the future. So the fact that they weren't, it's too bad, but that's the way it is.
What brought your family to the Boston area?
My aunt, my mother's sister.
He was a rabbi here?
He died very young, died in his 40s.
Did you ever meet anybody else that was hidden in a convent?
No,
Never?
no,
There must be other people.
I haven't met them.
But you belong to this organization in New York, the Children of the Holocaust.
I
Remember?
didn't like it.
Oh, you didn't like it, no?
Again, it's rehashing.
בניו יורק היה איזשהו ארגון גדול כזה של ילדים מההולוקוסט. כמו שהיא הייתה בהולוקוסט, אבל היא אמרת שהיא לא...
No.
And your,
כי הם דיברו
your
על
husband there
My
is
husband is
American?
American.
American didn't just from stories.
No idea.
My friend's mother was in a child in the Holocaust from age 3 to age 5. She was in a basement and they wouldn't let her utter a sound for 2 years, from age 3 to age 5. And today she was telling us it was very hard for her to be a child and not say a word. So,
But did it affect her later?
I'm sure it did at some point, and it passed, and she went on to America, and she had a life. But
It's what the Germans did besides killing. They disrupted lives completely. And in a way, that's very bad. Because if you die, you die, okay? That's it. But if you have to live your whole life, this is in the background. I can't complain because it wasn't that bad. But I'm still talking about people who were in the camps. They disrupted lives forever.
And I think it's beautiful to see this. Like that's one of the
Characters.
characteristics of the יהודים, שאנחנו לא מתבחבשים בעבר, אבל אנחנו ממשיכים. Like your family you were hidden for a year with girls, but maybe your parents had it harder, like worrying about the kids and
Yeah, I'm sure my parents had it hard.
yeah, but they continued afterwards. They did what they can to return to regular life.
Well, they did have, okay, somebody else could say this, but I will say it. I only came into the family in 1981, and by being engaged to Shifra. And when we would go to visit Mrs. Gorelik's parents, we would go from New York and drive to Boston. And I was told, they don't know we're coming. My jaw dropped. We're going to sleep over at their house. And they don't know that we're coming.
You're not supposed to be outside.
Because it's about a 5-hour
Then
drive.
they're sitting by the window waiting when they're coming.
So I was told that
Sitting by the window.
if we tell them that we're coming, they will sit. mother-in-law's mother would sit by the window and be looking out from behind the curtain. When are they coming? And with tremendous.
I have to say, it's not normal.
Right. So that's a scar.
Not normal, but it's an accumulation of fear, of so many years of fear that you don't want to know. You don't want to know.
And there's a funny vignette as a result of that, with this boy also. One of the trips that we made, we came to their house with our 2 or 3 children at the time, and probably two, and they weren't home. They weren't there. And we had to scrounge around the neighborhood for a while, and I think that's when you broke something, or you fell on something, you were bleeding a little bit. And then we called the police because we thought maybe something happened to them. They were inside and you couldn't, right? And you couldn't get in. And the police were there, I think. And then a car pulls up, and out of the back seats of the car, I think the back seats or whatever, passengers, not drivers, because I don't know if they even drove. Someone dropped them off, and they had been at a barbecue. And I'm new in the family, I don't say anything, but Schiffer says, "But you never go anywhere."
Yeah, we travel from Boston there. לא, אבל זה אחד מההשלכות של
And children are resilient. That it's easier for the children to bounce back and go to school and learn a new culture. The adults, it's harder. And who knows what really happened to your mother during the time? You don't know really.
One big fear. The fear is of course, that wherever she was, she was afraid. She was afraid of what? Afraid of the Nazis.
Even in America?
No, she's saying now.
What afterwards? She was still, what's the word? Anxious.
Did you feel as growing up that it had an effect?
Definitely.
Do you remember your grandmother?
Oh, sure.
What was that effect?
It went down 2 generations.
Wasn't easy for me either, growing up with an anxious mother.
So that's what they're saying to you. What was the effect? Growing up with a man.
Probably have to explain anytime you were going to go somewhere or do something.
Not, and very often she wouldn't let me go.
It's all coming out.
And I married young, and that took me away.
18.
What?
The age of 18. Wow. And then you had a lot on you.
I want to ask, can you hear me? Hello?
Saying that being a Rebbitzin was very hard on me. I can't say it.
But you
She's
travel a
asking
lot,
something?
from place to place, not near your parents. You were in Toronto and New York.
No question.
There's a question with Zoom.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question. Do you feel, and I think it was very interesting, and thank you for telling us your story. It was really lovely and interesting. Do you feel any better for having spoken about it tonight? Does it seem to have helped you to get it out of your system? Have you spoken about it over the years?
I feel better about speaking about it. To be honest, no.
Worse.
Not really. I mean, it's part of my life. It's not my life now. And my interest is in my life now and in the future. It's the same thing.
But you did care about it because you put this folder together. And you didn't talk to,
Okay,
I mean, we
I'll
know
tell
this
you
from
why I
your
put it
own-
together. Not for me. For my progeny, for my, for the coming generation,
This-
that they should know.
That's
I
why we,
wrote everything out, exactly what it is. I know what it is. I wrote it for the coming generations.
Can I tell you what I learned from your speech tonight?
What?
How you have to put aside what happened and look ahead and look for the future because that's what's most important.
So the past is past.
Some people get stuck in the past. And some people say, well, this happened to me, you can't blame me, that's what happened.
Unfortunate.
You know, whatever happened, happened, and you go on to your life.
Have you spoken to your children over the years about this?
to your children.
And I spoke, I know, it's human being, I'm not at length. I'm sure you learned different things that you didn't know before. No, you didn't? Okay, fine, that's fine.
Were you interviewed by Yad Vashem or by Steven Spielberg at all?
Were you interviewed by Yad Vashem or by Steven?
Spielberg, yes.
Yes, to both.
Both. But that was very different. It was different because they asked me questions. I was just a person that answered what they asked. I didn't elaborate too much. It wasn't sequential, what they wanted to know.
You remember what their focus was?
No.
But can these things be
I
accessed?
didn't think about it.
No, I'm just curious, because you're saying you answered what they
What
asked.
they asked.
Maybe they have certain styles.
Maybe, but I don't know.
They gave you what they did? Did they give you a copy of it? Or?
No, it's all oral.
Be able to be
Spielberg, we have.
accessed. It should be able to be accessed.
Mom, we have Spielberg and the VCR.
What is a PCR? No one has PCR.
We have to change it. But that's me too, have it. Okay.
We've gone through various things that we changed.
It doesn't matter.
Savta Sarah, is that the picture that you went to visit?
Nice. You went with Daddy to visit Nice. You have that picture, you know, those pictures from that recent trip. I know.
The last 20 years. So.
Is it in this book or in the
No,
other album?
it's in the picture book. Where I was sitting on the same bench where I used to sit and knit.
Thank you for sharing your experiences with us. Thank you very much.
I think.
Hello, Savta?
I think it's
That one-
important.
Yeah, you hear me?
We have.
No, no.
You have to preserve the memory.
Yes.
Right in the.
Where I am, we only learn about it in school. I've been involved, but it's not the same as hearing it from you.
After the war is not what it was during the war.
I mean, when I was there, I didn't believe it. I couldn't believe that it's really happening.
Because everything is rebuilt already.
No, but she's saying
Yeah.
she's there, but it's different than when she actually hears you, a real live person.
Of course, because you can go to Manhattan today or a few years ago, and this is way back. It's a different reality.
Yes, I'm hearing it.
You're right, you're live, you're real person going through it.
So it's a good thing to do here.
It's inspiring to her, that's what she's saying. To hear a real live.
You need to pass it.
You need to hear it from someone who actually lived it.
I've been through it.
Right.
No, it's maybe to see people that went through things like this and built a whole life. There's a life after. Because,
Have you
I
heard
mean,
other
because
people talk
I've heard
about
other
their
people,
stories?
I've heard other people. Yeah, I mean, my age, we had people come to school. Today, I'm a scholar. But it's, you see that you built their whole life. Well, people go through things today that are nothing today. And their life is finished. And you can get proportions in your own life when you hear people, what they went through, and you hear, and you think, all right, so my life ain't that bad, you know, like, $1,000.
Yeah, so they
Everyone did.
people who stayed and survived, I don't know anybody.
That someone survived from that.
That doesn't mean it didn't happen. So that they were hiding in Europe. And they went what?
My great grandfather was also hidden by everything. Yeah, a family in France. He was from, I don't remember where he was from, but he ran away to France and he met his family and they hid him in the forest. They had like a pinatai, like where they had boats for milk and community. And under the animal like barn, they had a little trap door.
Somebody was telling me that they were living with pigs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
under
the earth.
But the family, הם היו באים להביא אוכל לחיות, הם היו גם מביאים לו, אז הם החביאו אותו שם כמה זמן, נראה לי שנה לפחות.
סליחה שלא היית שדיברתי. You speak English?
Yes. לא, כי יכול להיות האנגלית שלך צריך יותר,
Your story is my grandmother my mother's side. She was from Romania, and she and her 7 brothers and sisters were hidden in the convent in Romania. Yes. They all of them survived and came to Israel, and the mother and father didn't survive. And my family from both sides are Holocaust survivors. My grandfather was also a Romanian, and he was from a poor family, and he was hidden in a Christian family, hiding in a barn, under a barn, and ate potatoes, peelings. He was starving and in the last day of his life, he died in 2013. He always left something on the plate. It's like for worst time, yes.
Did someone want to ask a question?
You know?
Yes.
Any questions on Zoom?
Yeah, I wanted to ask something. You hear me?
Yeah.
Chaviva.
Hi, Savta, it's Chaviva. My camera doesn't work. The camera doesn't work. I just wanted to ask 2 things. One thing I wanted to ask you, how did your past how do you say influenced on your personality? How could you say it made an influence on your personality? How did it build you? Like what things from there made up your personality? Bit of a question. You heard me?
Asking, do you hear me?
Yeah, did you understand the question?
No.
How did your past experience form your personality, your present personality? How did it have an influence on
Well, I think I've been saying it all along. I look more to the present and the future than the past. Because I feel that I can do something more about the present and the future. The past is finished out of my hands, so I'm running with it.
Okay,
Do
what's
you
the next?
understand what I said?
Did you, hello, did you hear? Habiba?
On the mute.
I'm on mute. Yeah, I heard. Yes, after I heard you.
What's the second?
Second question.
Yeah, I wanted to know, you went back to visit there in France with your whole family. Remember that? With all your cousins and relatives.
Or you met
It was a reunion.
you met somebody there. You went and
It was a reunion.
So you met some cousin there or something.
Your cousins, you had a dinner reunion. So what's the question?
What's the question?
Oh, so I wanted to know, were things brought up then? Were things talk? Did you talk about things and did you discover new things?
When you met the cousins, you talk about the Holocaust experience. Did everyone talk about the Holocaust experience?
The cousin that I met, I think, was from
Suzanne.
England.
Dave.
In England, and she was not in the Holocaust.
So the cousins that you met were not in the Holocaust.
Not in the Holocaust, no.
Oh, that's it.
Right, so the visit there had nothing to do with the past.
They visited places Savta visited places that she was at. The park she played in, the town, Nice. But in terms of the cousins, they did not experience the Holocaust like Savta.
Right, okay, thank you.
Okay, some words of conclusion.
Does someone want to say something before we're gonna like לסכם? האירוע, ומי שרוצה יכול להישאר לשאול כמה שאלות.
ולראות
Before
את
the drivers go back to ירושלים. אין מה לעשות. זה לא, אוקיי. Say it.
What do you want to
Say,
say?
and then
I'm gonna say it.
Take the
You can.
What do you want to say?
I want to say in the meantime, thank you, Savta, from
Oh,
first.
Ilma Rachamim, Dayan Amanot Abi Tomim, Alna Teheshev Dakak Ledam Yisrael Shnishpat Kamaim, Amtsei Minuchan Nechona, Al Kanfei HaShekhinah, במעלות קדושים וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע נעירים ומזהירים ונשמותיהם של רבבות אלפי ישראל, אנשים ונשים, ילדים וילדות שנהרגו ונשחטו ונשרפו ונחנקו ונקברו חיים בארצות אשר נגעה בהן יד הצורר הגרמני וגרוריו. כולם קדושים וטהורים, בהם גאונים וצדיקים, עזי הלבנון אדירי התורה, בגן עדן תהא מנוחתם, לכן בעל הרחמים יסתירם בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, יצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתם, אדוני הוא נחלתם, ינוחו בשלום על משכבם, ונאמר אמן.
Amen.
And before we conclude, I think everyone has his own story of how his parents and how his great-grandparents survived the time and came into Israel. And it's part of a whole big story of Am Yisrael coming back to Israel. And the Shem Zikaron Basalon. Thank you, Savta, for coming.
Thank you for hosting. Really appreciate it a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your time.
And we have the Kurt's family. I'm gonna take a picture of you with just after. Leave the camera.
Picture.
Sit down. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And now everybody, come.
Yalla.
Come.
Instagram.
No, with you. Stay.
Get around.
It's gonna go outside, more space.
I
I have the Zoom on the camera. Okay, beautiful.
Okay, can you send me the?
Yes, I will send it to you.
Okay. Say hi. Yeah, okay. אתם ראיתם כאילו פרסום של... היו עוד בקריית גת או שהיינו היחידים בכל היום? לא היה אפשרות לכתוב שם תיאור, טקסט, הייתי שמח לכתוב בקטנה, בקצרה, כאילו מה המהותיות מהסיפור, אבל זה ממש קצת פרטים. מוזמנים להתכבד, יש פה מרק שכבר לא חם.
She was the head of the family.
This was the man who did fortune.
The fee, no.
Wow. Can they hear us?
It was someone I don't know. Oh, Savta. There's a photo.
Oh,
I spoke with him. On Friday night. כן, יצאת נכון? כל
Hi David, hi Jackie.
How are you?
Really Shiva.
I didn't say. I don't know. I didn't say
And I go to this meeting.
I love Hebrew as a child already, and all my language is as a child. French, Yiddish, yes, except French. Anybody that speak to good people, you have to speak their language, but I don't know any French people. I don't use it. But you speak a good English. It's so well.
was very young. I only watched TV in English.
מישהו, הליכוד רישוי שלו מסתיימת ב-701? ליכוד רישוי מסתיימת ב-701 למישהו? שחוסר. הרקע שלכם מסתיים ב-701? מה שבאתם?
Bye, guys. Thank you so much. You're being pretty good. No, more connected with yourself.
So where do you get on?
A little bit, a little bit.
כן, כן, לפי המתכונה. ניסיתי לזכור רק יאן,
You're welcome. Glad you were here. It was lovely. Okay.
Why do we still have to be?
We don't. Okay, say, people want to say hi to you. Savta, say hello.
Hi, say hello.
People who survive.
There.
We have Jackie,
Hi, Ma.
David, that's me. David Halpern. Who's that? That looks like.
Let's take the computer.
Hello, hello, hello. Do you hear
How
me?
are- Yeah, we hear you. Thank you very much for presenting.
Okay, so you heard me and my presentation.
Yes, we heard everything.
Okay. I have to thank Hannah and her husband for arranging all this.
Right, yeah, we should.
Jackie, do you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, and it's very nice of them to host the event.
Right, very nice. But why is she not reacting?
She is reacting. She is reacting.
Oh, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Okay. Was this new information for you? New information? No. You heard it before. Okay. But the people who were here.
Could watch the Spielberg video.
Could you make it louder?
Bye, good night, Dash. See you. Yeah, it's the loudest. דבי, יש אפשר לעשות את זה יותר גדול?
So let's see who is missing.
תן לה אוזניות.
Yeah, Michael.
יש את כוח.
Okay. David is here.
Yes, which David?
What's that?
Earphones. I can hear them better.
Oh, I see. Let's see. Hello? Hello?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, good. I'm glad. Okay, we had some people here who had never heard the story, so that's really why I did it. I didn't know that you would be part of it, but I can't make it newer because this is the
I'm glad.
The facts are the facts. That's it. Okay, so in Tova's family, who is there? Hello.
We're all here.
We're all here.
Now I hear you. Now I hear you.
We're all here. We're all here.
Yeah, there's Tova. Hi. Hi. Okay. David, did you hear this before?
Most of it.
Okay. So I see that people talk about it. Okay. Okay. But I really have to thank Hannah for hosting this. She baked cake and put it all together.
Okay, I'm gonna say goodbye because we have to get back to Salayim. It's quite late already. Okay, people, bye-bye.
Safe trip back.
Thanks, darling. Thanks. Bye.
Bye, Zoe.